watching Bally Sports, the home of the Blues and Cardinals.
Baseball has forever been a family game. A game in which fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, and all generations of fans have come together. Over more than 100 years, St. Louis has bonded over Cardinals baseball. And in that century, some of baseball's biggest moments have been called by its most brilliant voices. Harry Caray brought the all-time great careers of Stan Musial and Bob Gibson to the airwaves.
Here's the pitch. Line drive, there it is! Into left field! Hit number 3,000! He got it! Struck him out! A new world record of 17 strikeouts in one game.
Jack Buck called some of the most memorable games in baseball history, and some of the moments Cardinal fans will never forget.
Shooter from the belt to the plate. A swing and a miss, and that's a winner! That's a winner! A World Series winner for the Cardinals! Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go! Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
Jack's son Joe, the voice of 24 World Series, narrated one of the greatest finishes to any baseball game ever.
Into right, well hit. Back at the wall. It's off the wall. Freeze has tied it. We will see you tomorrow night.
And in 2023, a local voice with a long career and a longer baseball lineage came home to St. Louis.
And one can only imagine the emotions of that man as he makes his way to the center of the St. Louis Diamond. Waino is throw 7. Adam Wainwright, welcome to the 200-win club.
Tonight, we celebrate family, legacy, and the men whose voices have chronicled the history of the St. Louis Cardinals franchise and continue to lend a voice to the game night after night.
Tonight on Toyota Cardinals Live, hey, Harry Caray's got a statue at Wrigley Field in Chicago, and Jack Buck is immortalized here in St. Louis. We celebrate some of the greatest broadcasters in baseball history, and oh yeah, we got a ball game on our hands. The Cardinals take on their arch rivals, the Chicago Cubs, at Busch Stadium for game number 1 of a 3-game series. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of Toyota Cardinals Live. Jim Hayes alongside Al Roboski. And Al, I'm excited for a number of reasons. The Cardinals have won 8 of 10. The Cubs are in town, and also we have a really, really special broadcast where we are celebrating the heritage of our Cardinal broadcasters.
Oh, absolutely, and I'm privileged to say I'm friends with both these guys. They're truly going to be reunited in Cooperstown at some point, but I got to know, Joe's dad quite a bit, and Harry's grandfather, and also his father. Great legacy, and these guys have created their own also.
It's going to be a fun night, no question about it. So how did the St. Louis Cardinals become so popular in the Midwest? Their reach of their flagship radio station, KMOX, as well as the men who called the games. In 1992, the Cardinals created a show to celebrate the franchise's 100th anniversary, and here is the voice of the great Jack Buck.
The pitch.
In bringing baseball into every town from Raleigh to Dallas, KMOX has forged a bond with the Midwest that has made the Cardinals the real America's team.
Here it is. A bouncing ball. This should do it. The Cardinals are in first place. The Redbirds win at 8-5. Gordon Richardson being congratulated. And now the pressure has been put on by the Cardinals. Johnny Keane about to bring the Redbirds their first pennant since 1946. And the Cardinals, one strike, come on! If you've never heard Mr. Gussie Busch excited, you just heard him over my shoulder. Let's go! Get him out! A high pop ball. The Cardinals there. The Cardinals won the pennant. The Cardinals won the pennant. Oh, there she goes.
Well, I think that's probably as great a part of Cardinal history the broadcast, going back to Harry Caray and even before him, Franz Locks, that's as big a part of Cardinal history as anything.
People who are not familiar with Cardinal baseball don't know when we're talking about Cardinal baseball, we're talking about Missouri, Indiana, Illinois,
Tennessee, Kentucky,
North Carolina,
Louisiana.
The Midwest and the South, and as far as our signals would carry, we're all Cardinal fans. And we did have a far-flung network of around 125 stations. So I know a lot of people probably were raised on Harry Caray's style of baseball broadcasting.
Man, what a night we have in store. A celebration of the two first families of baseball broadcasting who have deep, deep roots in St. Louis. Let's bring in the guys who are part of that iconic lineage. Let's go back to the stadium and say hi to Joe Buck and Chip Caray. And Chip, I'll start with you. We have the Cubs and Cards. I know that's first, but this whole thing about your families and broadcasting to celebrate the lineage, I got emotional watching the clips.
Yeah, it's fun listening to all those highlights, and I think Joe would be the first to say along with me, we want to thank the guys who made us possible. Otherwise, we aren't sitting here. But I get chills listening to those guys do their thing. It was a different era of baseball, but the passion, the love, the excitement, the ability to paint a word picture is something that never lost your dad or my grandfather, and hopefully we're carrying the torch proudly forward for them.
Joe, I got to ask you, and I got to tell you, first of all, we did not set you up in your very first broadcast on television here at Cardinal Baseball back in New York. We did not set you up. It was an honest mistake.
That was a mess. It was the middle part of a doubleheader, Cardinals at the Mets at Shea Stadium. I'd never done TV, and they're like, well, you know, whatever. When 6 o'clock hits, you know, whatever's going on, you recap the first game, set up the second game. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? And it was an absolute disaster. Bullets of sweat just beating off me, makeup running down onto my shirt. It was like broadcast news before broadcast news. So, yeah, we went onward and upward from there, Al.
We did. We had a lot of fun, and boy, it was a pleasure to sit next to both you guys.
Well, I loved every minute of it. We had a ball, and I think it's different. It's different than the network job, and Chip gets to do it night after night, and he's got great partners. I had such with you, Al, and it's like a brotherhood and a family, and you get to go through 162 games. There's just nothing like it in broadcasting. Doing local baseball is just a thrill every day.
It's a blast. Truly, it's a family. I think that's exactly right what Joe said. It is a family affair. It's a passionate affair for all of us. We love the Cardinals, want them to win every night, and it would sure be great to get the weekend off with a win against the Cubs tonight.
And Joe, I don't know if you took a look around the broadcast booth, but Chip is sort of our Sergeant Holka, but in a much more fun way.
Yeah.
But he makes sure that we remember baseball is a game, and Chip makes sure we have fun.
Yeah, well, he is definitely the big toe. He is the Sergeant Holka. And, yeah, there's a Papa-Shot back there. There's a fridge. You got the Harry Caray glasses. I mean, this is like a fun house here in the TV booth. It lets me know, Al, that when you and I were together, I let you down because we just had a booth and we did the game and then we went home. Here, it's like being at Six Flags.
And you haven't even mentioned the treadmill.
Yeah, well, he's got a treadmill. Yeah, he's got a face painting station. It's unbelievable.
We go from frat house to kindergarten in about 5 seconds in this booth, Al, as you know.
Come on, Chip, give us a Harry Caray, please.
Hey, you know, Puck said backwards is Cub. What the hell's going on around here?
That's outstanding.
All right, Harry. It's a nice evening here at the old ballpark. Yeah, he can imitate his grandpa, and I can imitate my dad, and everybody can relive days gone by.
Well, you guys are already having fun. I know you'll keep it going through the ball game as well. Thanks for the time. Sorry for making you wait for a few minutes while we did our little spiel. Thank you, guys.
We'd wait forever for you, Cat, always.
Thank you. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, sure. I mean, as Joe said, you know, the network's so much different. Now he can kind of relax a little bit. And Chip never has any fun in that booth, does he?
It sure looks like the Cardinals have turned the corner. At least we hope they have. It started in that last game in Milwaukee. When we come back, we'll take a look at how they've done it. Cardinals Live on Valley Sports is brought to you by Toyota. Dear Adventure, ready when you are, Toyota. Let's go places. By Rally House St. Louis, your city, your house, Rally House. And by Great Southern Bank, understanding what really matters. Cards Cubs, one of the most historic rivalries in all of baseball. It is our Del Mar Gardens series preview. And Al, if you look at the rivalries, Cards, Cubs right up there. It's very important, not only in terms of longevity and history, but boy, the two fan bases get after each other.
Yeah, and what I love about it is it's a friendly rivalry. You have friends and families that are on both sides, and they just go out there and they compete, but it's a really fun rivalry. It's not like some of the ones that it's bloodly.
Now, you've seen both sides of
this,
right? Isn't that the case?
Yeah, but I mean, I think at times there was more that the players didn't like each other. Now the players all get along and everything, but it's a friendly rivalry for the fan base, and it's really nice to see how many Cub fans come down to St. Louis. Cardinal fans had always gone up to Chicago and enjoyed that atmosphere, too.
Cardinal bats coming alive, or Lindell Bank player to bank on. Mason Wynn, who has been red hot. He has a 13-game hitting streak, Al, and he's also shown a little pop. 7 for 18 in that stretch with 3 doubles and 2 homers. And he said all along, look, I'm a little bigger. My job is to get on base now, but I think power is in my future. We're seeing some of that.
Well, absolutely. You know, he hit 20 home runs last year, 18 to AAA and 2 in the big leagues. They don't want him to worry about that. Just go out there, and he's got the best line drive contact in the major leagues right now, and you can see how the averages really played. But the Cardinals have won 8 of the last 10 because now they're getting that timely hitting. Runners in scoring position has really improved.
So the key for the Cardinals is runners in scoring position. They weren't so rispy. Now, so far, 276. There's a stretch where they're above 300. We're talking about a team that night in and night out, 1 for 10, 0 for 8 runners in scoring position. And you hear this about hitting, and you would know better than I. Hitting is contagious. For a while, the Cards would have 1 guy hitting, maybe 2 guys. Now they got a bunch of guys hitting, bunch of guys on hitting streaks, and that sort of feeds the rest of the guys, doesn't it?
And also, too, we're having the powers come back. We've hit home runs in 10 straight games, and so you're scoring almost 6 runs a game. You do that with this pitching staff, you're going to win the bulk of the games.
In the last 3 games, Cardinal pitchers have been solid, starting pitching good. Also, the bullpen. Coming up when we come back with this edition of Toyota Cardinals Live, we will look at tonight's matchup of starting pitchers. It's a good one. That guy, Miles Mikolas, on the hill for the Cards. We'll break it all down next. Valley Sports is brought to you by Steel Battery, Real Steel. Find yours at steeldealers.com. And by Toyota, Gear Adventure, ready when you are. Toyota, let's go places. And I have to say, ugh, because the tarps are on the field, and that means we are starting, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, in a rain delay. We have no official start time to report. As soon as we get one, we will break into programming and let you know about it. But not good. And we always say, Al, do we have a window? Do we have a window? I don't know if we have a window. I left my Doppler in my other pants.
Of course we have a window, but I think Jack and Harry planned this because they wanted to hear Joe and Chip. They wanted to, and we're going to get plenty of that tonight and everything like that, but I think we're going to get a lot more because of this little rain delay, and they'll get the game in.
All right, as we celebrate the history of Cardinals broadcasting tonight, let's take a listen to the great Caray and Buck.
Just think, he's accounted for 16 of the putouts all by himself. He got it! Struck him out! Look at the scene on the field. McCarver, the first one. Now his infielders all over him. A new world record of 17 strikeouts in 1 game. Now the stretch from the belt. Here's the pitch. Right there, there it is! Into left field! Hit number 3,000! A run is scored! Musiala ran first! On his way to second with a double! Holy cow, he came through! Suter from the belt to the plate. A swing and a miss! And that's the winner! That's the winner! A World Series winner for the Cardinals!
Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizards.
Freeze. Here comes Berkman. Freeze has tied it. 7-7. Unbelievable. Freeze hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night.
The chills listening to those calls. I could listen to that all night. Really, you talk about Jack Buck, you talk about Harry Caray, you talk about Joe Buck and Chip Caray. These are guys that provide the soundtrack to the history of your baseball team, wherever they were at the time. And we've had some great ones in St. Louis. It's the soundtrack, and it's part of the history. And when you think about an Ozzie Smith homer, you think about Jack Buck. That's neat.
Yeah, and the backstory to that one was the fact that that was the very first home run that Ozzie hit left-handed. You know, he had like 3,000 some bats or something like that. Never hit a home left-handed. So that's why it was so shocking, and just a fabulous call by the great Jack Buck.
And you did work with Chip and Joe before, right?
Yeah, and I worked with Jack also. But
obviously.
Yeah, 30 years ago, they were trying to figure out if they were going to have a Buck or a Caray with the broadcast. And at the time, you know, I did 3 or 4 games with Chip on the road, and then Joe, worked with Joe for, I guess, 7 or 8 years or something like that. I learned more than he did. You know, but they were just great. And then working with Jack Buck, you know, I mean, how could you not learn something there?
I'll tell you what, and I've learned from you, so you're passing it along to the next generation.
Yeah, but we're talking about baseball.
That's true. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Cardinal pitching right now. Miles Michaelis goes, but let's be honest, the 3 new veterans that they brought in to the rotation have helped solidify things, right? I mean, especially in the sweep over Baltimore. But if you look at the numbers, these 3 guys combined this season, 11-6, a very good ERA, and each guy is going 10 starts. I think Sonny missed a couple. He had 8 starts. But you look at the ERA and what they're doing, this is exactly why they were brought in. Between Sonny, Lance, and Kyle, they're doing what was advertised, right?
Yeah, we're seeing a little accountability, but we're seeing these guys, these veteran guys, going deeper into ball games. They're helping the young pitchers learn the aspects of pitching at the major league level. And they're, you know, even when they may have a little bit of a rough stretch, they get you deep enough into that game. And I've been saying all along, if you can get the Cardinals with a lead going into the 7th inning, with this bullpen that they have, they're going to nail down most of those victories that they have.
Bullpen's been good, and the veteran guys have been providing a little length and some very solid pitching. Each guy knows when they get into trouble how to get out of it. Our Menard's big money matchup tonight is the pitching matchup. And this guy is going for the Cubs, and he is one of the best pitchers in the National League, Shota Imanaga. And he's got a sub-1 ERA, doesn't walk guys, and he's been dominant.
He really has. You know, he signed a free agent contract, so he's a 30-year-old rookie, but he has been phenomenal. It's 9 starts. This is the lowest ERA in Major League history for the starting career, you know, with the 9 stars, or just really to start a season with the first 9 starts. He doesn't throw particularly hard, but he knows how to pitch.
He's in pretty good company. And, you know, the 30-year-old rookie thing, I mean, he has a resume of his own, but not on this side of the pond. To come in and do what he's done against big league hitters, give him a lot of credit, right?
Yeah, and it was a wise decision because, you know, obviously he had pitched in the World Baseball Classic for Japan, and so he knew how to win.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Toyota Cardinals Live. Chip Caray and Joe Buck on the call tonight as we celebrate the great tradition of broadcasters for St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Of course, we have the Cards and Cubs coming up right here on Bally Sports Midwest.
Baseball has forever been a family game. A game in which fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, and all generations of fans have come together. Over more than 100 years, St. Louis has bonded over Cardinals baseball. And in that century, some of baseball's biggest moments have been called by its most brilliant voices. Harry Caray brought the all-time great careers of Stan Musial and Bob Gibson to the airwaves.
Here's the pitch. Line drive, there it is! Into left field! Hit number 3,000! He got it! Struck him out! A new world record of 17 strikeouts in one game.
Jack Buck called some of the most memorable games in baseball history, and some of the moments Cardinal fans will never forget.
Shooter from the belt to the plate. A swing and a miss, and that's a winner! That's a winner! A World Series winner for the Cardinals!
Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go! Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
Jack's son Joe, the voice of 24 World Series, narrated one of the greatest finishes to any baseball game ever.
Into right, well hit. Back at the wall. It's off the wall. Freeze has tied it. We will see you tomorrow night.
And in 2023, a local voice with a long career and a longer baseball lineage came home to St. Louis.
And one can only imagine the emotions of that man as he makes his way to the center of the St. Louis Diamond. Waino is throw 7. Adam Wainwright, welcome to the 200-win club.
Tonight, we celebrate family, legacy, and the men whose voices have chronicled the history of the St. Louis Cardinals franchise and continue to lend a voice to the game night after night.
Under cloudy, stormy skies in St. Louis, we hope to have Cardinals baseball as we kick off the Memorial Day weekend with a battle with our arch rivals from Chicago. A 3-game weekend set we hope will start tonight here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Hi again, everybody. I am not Troy Aikman, but that is Joe Buck. Welcome to Cardinals baseball. Welcome to the booth. This has been a long time coming.
Yeah, this is really cool. I mean, the worst thing is that the tarp is on the field, so I guess we've got some time to walk down memory lane and talk about your grandpa and my dad, but this is a fun night, and hopefully we'll have baseball for you at some point.
This is where it all started for you, and for those of us who do this business and grew up in the Midwest, it started with your dad, the legendary Jack Buck. I listened to him every night, going to sleep with the AM radio tucked to my ears. I fell asleep. He was the man that sang me the lullaby every night.
The difference is he got me up the next day, and I was sleeping in, and all I would hear is, "Get up, Buck, I'm not telling you again." He was hired in 1954, joined Chip's grandpa, Harry. He was here for the better part of 50 years when they dedicated that statue to him. He was toward the end of his life, and he was as sick as he had ever been, and he had the greatest line. He said, "You know, I've given the Cardinals the best years of my life, and now I'm giving them the worst." That just was his sense of humor. He was the best. And for people of a certain age, I mean, he's been gone for over 20 years now. He was the soundtrack to their summer. He was the one that was telling them the Cardinals and go crazy and all the other stuff that he did over the years. So it has always been an honor to follow him into the broadcast booth. And I know, I mean, you guys are beating us. You got 4 generations of Carys that are doing this. But I know you feel the same about Harry and your great dad, Skip. It's nice to be in this club.
Yeah, for me and our family, all of us were born here except my kids. And Harry was a kid that grew up just south of Union Station on LaSalle Street, was an orphan at 14 years old, and somehow, some way found his way in the broadcast business. Started in 1945, saw almost every at-bat of Stan Musial's career here. Went to Oakland, went to the White Sox, and then really hit it big with the Superstation in Chicago with the Cubs and all the holy cows that it might be, it could be, it is. Came from the same place that your dad's love of our game came from, and that was a deep, passionate understanding of how much baseball meant to the Midwest and meant to Cardinals fans.
Yeah, I know we're going to take a break, but the coolest thing about their relationship, when my dad came along in 1954, Harry was the established voice. He started in the mid-40s. In fact, early in his career, did both the Cardinals and the Browns, believe it or not, then started traveling with the Cardinals after the war. But my dad shows up And my dad is the junior broadcaster, and I'm not going to say there was friction, but there wasn't a lot of love. And by the time Harry, your grandfather, got to Chicago, they were two older men, and to see their relationship come full circle and to see how much fun they had together at the press level of Busch Stadium #2 was a joy to behold. And they loved each other dearly. They had so many common and shared memories, but to see the way they got along at the end of their lives was just something beautiful.
You bet. Baseball in life, the whole purpose is to come home. Joe's back home. I'm home here in St. Louis, and you at home hopefully will have as much fun as we plan to have once baseball gets started. We're in a rain delay before we throw a first pitch. The Cubs are in town for the first of 3. We'll continue our walk down memory lane as we get you started this Memorial Day weekend at Busch Stadium after our first break.
Forged a bond with the Midwest that has made the Cardinals the real America's team.
Here it is. A bouncing ball. They should do it. The Cardinals are in first place. The Redbirds win it 8-5. Gordon Richardson being congratulated. And now the pressure has been put on by the Cardinals. Johnny Keane about to bring the Redbirds their first pennant since 1946. And the Cardinals, one pitch. Strike, come on! If you've never heard Mr. Gussie Busch excited, you just heard him over my shoulder. Let's go! Get him out! A high pop ball. The Clover's there. The Cardinals won the pennant. The Cardinals won the pennant. Oh, there she goes.
Well, I think that's probably as great a part of Cardinal history, the broadcast, going back to Harry Caray and even before him, Franz Locks. That's as big a part of Cardinal history as anything.
People who are not familiar with Cardinal baseball don't know when we're talking about Cardinal baseball, we're talking about Missouri, Indiana, Illinois,
Tennessee, Kentucky,
North Carolina,
Louisiana.
The Midwest and the South, and as far as our signals would carry, were all Cardinal fans. And we did have a far-flung network of around 125 stations. So I know a lot of people probably were raised on Harry Caray's style of baseball broadcasting.
And that's exactly right. Chip Caray, Joe Buck with you from the broadcast booth. We're going to start in a delay tonight before we face the Cubs. And all of those sound bites are exactly right. There was a time that young fans maybe don't remember, before cable TV, before superstations, the voice of Cardinals baseball was the 50,000-watt blowtorch that is KMOX radio. From St. Louis to the East Coast, south to the Gulf of Mexico, north to the Canadian border, and west to the Rockies, an entire nation grew up listening to this team.
And for the longest time, the Cardinals were the furthest, most west franchise. So when I was doing the minor leagues in Louisville in '89 and '90, we used to play out in Denver against the Denver Zephyrs. They were not a big league city at that point, and there were so many Cardinal fans out there because they could pick up KMOX or one of the affiliates that was close enough for them to pick up the signal. I remember my dad getting letters from people in Africa, believe it or not, that and I'm sure the atmosphere was less cluttered back in the 80s or whenever the letters would arrive, but on the right nights, with the signal bouncing around in the atmosphere, they could get Cardinal broadcast there. So, yeah, whether it was your grandpa, my dad, I mean, they were the guys that were delivering the news of the night for the Cardinals year after year, bridging so many different generations. And, yeah, the power of KMOX and that Cardinal radio network is massive, with the appeal for the Cardinals throughout the Midwest.
Everybody, of course, who follows the Cardinals remembers your dad, his wonderful career. Many may not know how he got into this business. How did he start? Let's start at the beginning on this night where we begin a series with the Cubs. How did Jack Buck decide, hey, I'm going to be a broadcaster, or did he?
I think that he kind of fell into it. You know, he went to Ohio State on the GI Bill. He didn't grow up with much. Born in Holyoke, Massachusetts. He ended up going and earning a Purple Heart in World War II, coming out of that, going to Ohio State. His family was living in Cleveland. Went to Ohio State, took classes, took broadcasting, all the while had a nighttime job. You know, the typical thing you hear with guys who grew up coming out of the Depression. And he just, I think the cool thing for him and I'm assuming this is true because he always told me this, was his dad. My dad had cataracts. His dad was a really good pitcher back in his day and was obsessed with baseball. My dad's dad, my grandfather, who I never even came close to meeting, had cataracts and lost his sight. So in the mornings, my dad would read his dad the sports page, and that's how he developed his voice and his love of talking about sports. Went to Ohio State, took some classes, was told he'd never amount to anything, did a couple of years in the minor leagues, and got hired and showed up here in St. Louis in 1954.
And the rest, they say, is history.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, you talked about your grandfather being an orphan.
Yeah.
And how did he get started?
Yeah, it's funny. He was like your dad or your dad's dad. He was an amateur baseball player, couldn't afford a scholarship to Alabama. He couldn't afford the train ticket to get to Alabama where he was going to play college baseball. He grew up on LaSalle Street in Lafayette Square, just south of Union Station here. His home is still there here in St. Louis. He didn't know his father. His dad left the family when he was very young, and once Harry became famous, received a letter from the old country saying, hey, I understand you've become a big deal, apparently. Never read the letter, threw it in the fireplace. So never knew what became of his father, and was an orphan, 14 years old, selling newspapers on the streets in St. Louis to get by. He lived with the Argent family, his great aunt who took him in as a 14-year-old here in St. Louis, and loved the game, loved the sport, got involved with it somehow, some way, and somehow through force of personality got involved in radio and somehow got involved with the Cardinals.
You know what I hear when I listen to their calls, certainly with Harry and with my dad, people always say, what's your favorite call of your dad's? And yes, the Kirk Gibson, I don't believe what I just saw. And yes, the Ozzie Smith go crazy, and that kind of goes into what I'm about to talk about. And I don't even think we have this clip, so I'm sorry to Brian, our producer, for even bringing this up, but we've got all night to talk, it feels like. When Bob Gibson was throwing a no-hitter in the 70s, and my dad, you can hear his voice cracking because he loved Bob, and he loved the beauty of what a no-hitter is, and he was an easy cry, he would tell you. He said it that same day I talked about the statue dedication. He said, I cry at the sight of a good kick return. I'm an easy cry. But you can hear his voice cracking because there was just so much emotion. And that's what I hear with Harry. It's different. You know, you've done the national stuff. I've done the national stuff. People here go, oh, Joe Buck, he hates the Cardinals, because when you go to the national game, you have to get excited for the other side too. And you have to, and it's a different job entirely, but you can hear the love of Cardinal baseball just oozing out of the pores of your grandfather, my dad, because let's face it, I mean, times are better when your team's good and
no
winning
doubt.
And getting on the team bus and going to the team hotel. Everybody's happy, and the opposite is true when it's not going well. So they were as much fans as they were broadcasters, and they wore their emotions on their sleeves, which is really cool to do when you've got a microphone in front of your face.
Yeah, and I think the greatest compliment that Harry ever got was from Dave Niehaus, Hall of Fame voice of the Seattle Mariners. He grew up in Princeton, Indiana, and every summer he and his uncle would jump in the truck and make the trek to St. Louis to go to Old Sportsman's Park to watch a game. And Harry built it up so big, so powerful. The players were these colossal human beings. He got to the ballpark and said, this is it? Because they made it, your dad and Harry, bigger than life here in St. Louis.
Just think, he's accounted for 16 of the putouts all by himself. He got it! Struck him out! Look at the scene on the field. McCarver, the first one. Now his infielders all over him. A new world record of 17 strikeouts in one game. Now the stretch from the belt. Here's the pitch. Line drive, there it is! Into left field! Hit number 3,000! A run is scored! Musial ran first! On his way to second with a double! Holy cow, he came through! Suter from the belt to the plate. A swing and a miss! And that's the winner! That's the winner! A World Series winner for the Cardinals!
Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 and a home run by the Wizard.
tied it. 7-7. Unbelievable. Freese hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night.
Well, we hope to see you tonight instead of tomorrow night. One of the great calls in baseball history, Joe Buck redux. Jack Buck had one too. We'll talk about that remarkable moment in Cardinals history as Joe and I continue with our rain delay programming. Estimated start time, game one of the Cubs-Cardinals series is 7:55 here in St. Louis. Back with more after the break.
We will see you tomorrow night.
One of the most remarkable World Series games ever played. Hometown hero David Freese. Joe Buck at the call for Fox as the Texas Rangers, twice one strike away from a World Championship, lost to the Cardinals here at Busch Stadium. Tell me about that moment for you. We will see you tomorrow night. Did that just pop into your head, or was that something you thought about?
You know, somebody sent to me on Twitter, now X, just in case anybody gets confused about that. That earlier in that game, Game 6, our trivia question was who hit a Game 6 home run to force a Game 7, basically 20 years prior to that night. And Tim McCarver answered the question. He said, well, it was Kirby Puckett, and your dad said, we'll see you tomorrow night. And so it was in the back of my head. And then when the situation came up, I mean, it's David Freese, as you said, a St. Louis kid. It's the home stadium, which was just awesome. The place is going crazy. He had tied it, as you know, in the ninth. It's just one of the best baseball games I've ever seen. Forget broadcasts, forget been a part of, any of that other stuff. It's one of the best games. I'll never forget going down into La Russa's office after that game, and as only Tony could do, I said to him, man, that was amazing. What a game. That was incredible. And he looked up from his desk and he said, it's only good if we win tomorrow night. I'm like, can you enjoy one thing for 1 second? But yeah, it was a night that I'll never forget. I got to do it with my buddy Tim, and to see that happen here at home. People ask me, what's your favorite call of all time? That's probably it, or right up there. It's my favorite game I've ever seen because of what was on the line. It was just phenomenal.
I was on the other side of that call of your dad's in 1991. I was working for the Braves that year when Kirby Puckett did this at the Metrodome. You can't escape the genetics, folks. Listen to Jack Buck's call in the Metrodome in 1991.
The ball. The hitter swings at the arm motion. Into deep left center from Mitchell. And we'll see you tomorrow night.
That's the beauty of the greats, right? The moment spoke for itself, and you and your dad nailed it.
Well, I mean, it's TV, so that helps. Right. You don't have to do the radio stuff, but yeah, I could go. I basically see a therapist because of those 2 years for my dad in his career. They were not great years. It was not a fun time for those 2 years at CBS. But when he called that home run, I remember holding my breath. We were all holding our breath as a family because that was a tough home run to call. You've got all those Homer Hankies going. They're white. The baseball is white, and there's a piece of plexiglass above the wall in the Metrodome, and you could get caught if that ball hits off the plexiglass. You can't really see it. The Homer Hankies, you could mess that up, but he nailed it, as he did everything. But it was kind of the culmination of a tough couple of years in his life. And the guy that he was working with was Tim McCarver. The guy I was working with 20 years basically to the day later was Tim McCarver. And, yeah, I mean, I was so proud of him that night. And when I did that call, I was coming back from a paralyzed vocal cord that year, and I tried my best to do the Jack Buck impersonation with the timing of the way he said it. And I mean, for us who grew up in this city, and you can remember the calls, like Suter from the belt to the plate, a swing and a miss, and that's a winner. That's a winner, a World Series winner for the Cardinals. Porter throws his mask into the air. The players converge around the mound. Or the Ozzie Smith home run. And, I mean, you remember all those calls, and you remember the pacing and the way that he did it. And so when he hit that home run, it's a long answer, but I tried to give the same intonation and the same rhythm to the way he made that call. And some people loved it. Some people ripped it. I did it because I knew at the time that if he was in the booth next to me and he had been gone, he would have been in tears, like we talked about in the last segment, because of David being the one to hit it, the beauty of the moment. It's just special, and that's kind of like network sports announcing, be damned. I'm doing this with a tip of the cap to my dad.
It was so wonderfully well done. We will see you tomorrow night. We're going to see you tonight, 7:55 first pitch, Cardinals and Cubs. Joe Buck, Chip Caray, special night of Cardinals baseball. We will have more as our extended rain delay programming continues from the ballpark after this. We've got more to come tonight. Our first pitch is 7:55. That's an estimated time as long as Mother Nature will cooperate. So we're going to step back, relive some stories that we'll bring to you in just a moment. First, we'll send you to rain delay programming. Focus with Andre Dawson is our feature. We're back with baseball near the top of the hour. Our game tonight will be postponed. It'll be played as part of a day-night doubleheader July 13th, right before the All-Star break. Tickets for this game will be honored as part of the night game for that day-night double dip. And Joe Buck, aren't you glad you waited this long to try to do a major league broadcast in baseball?
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to do a game so badly tonight, but maybe we'll do another game some other time. And yeah, I just remember, I swear to you, when I talked with Larry Mago and we were putting this all together, I hung up and I thought, you know, the one thing that could happen that night is rain.
Yeah.
And the one thing that happened tonight is rain.
But there is a break. Michelle had to handle the twins.
Yes. Hopefully she got them to bed. Yeah.
But we do want to thank our amazing Bally crew for sticking with us tonight, for making this possible. Brian Shapiro, our great producer. Nate Winkler with so much great work. All the vignettes on social media truly was awesome. And couldn't be prouder of you and your legacy. And you're welcome here anytime.
Back at you.
Welcome home, buddy.
Yeah, it's good to be back. And maybe we'll do a game. Maybe we won't. But I do know this. I enjoyed every minute of this rain delay, sitting here catching up on all the new things that have happened in the game of baseball in the 2 years that I've been gone. And now I'm really ready to do the game, and there is no game. Oh, well, it's the way it goes. That's just life. I think it's a good lesson for all of us.
So we will not see you tomorrow night.
We will not see you tomorrow night.
Sunday night.
Or Sunday night.
But we will be back in Cincinnati on Monday.
Well, there you go. And I wish you all the best of luck, not just in Cincinnati, but in all the different ports you will visit in the 2024 regular season and beyond.
The dulcet tones of Joe Buck from St. Louis. We are rained out in St. Louis, and we will see you when we start our road trip with the Cincinnati Reds on Memorial Day.
Bye. Bye.